we money get paper. But you know we party hard later. Mr. Flex and Papa got the old city lock, but you get the same each and every area. Stepping NFC with no chaser.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on where in the world you are joining me from. I am Alluminati, and this is the Crypto and Cognac podcast show, as always powered by Alti.com, the one-click crypto wallet for WhatsApp, Telegram, and Discord, and as always fueled by my friends at Hennessy TT. This evening, as most evening, I'm having some VSOP, my favorite, and it's going to be fueling me through the next conversation for the next hour or so. And today we have Matt Hinkley, who is the co-founder and president of NOWwhere.io. Matt has previously been the cryptocurrency lead at PricewaterhouseCoopers or PwC. I don't know if they carry the long name anymore. In Canada, he has previously been the CEO of Liquidus, which is a compliant digital identity onboarding company. And he's been working on the front lines of the crypto space for the last 7 years, helping to merge tech and finance. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to Matt. Matt, what's up, man?
How we doing? Good to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
For sure, same here.
Before we jump into the NFT stuff, before we start talking marketplaces, just give the audience a little bit more clarity on your journey into the crypto space.
For sure. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me on board. First off, but my journey into the crypto space has been quite long. I started back in something called alternative finance, so the fintech scene in London, UK, about 8 years ago now. Really with the passion to help businesses and individuals get the access to finance a lot easier than going to the bank. And it was when I was working within a brokerage there that a cryptocurrency company called NXT. If you check their ticker, they're one of the oldest in the space. They approached us looking for capital because banks weren't lending to crypto companies. So they were looking at all different alternative ways of raising capital back then. And they gave a 2-hour presentation on blockchain and tokenization, and it just blew me away. I was like, oh my God, what's all this gobbledygook? So anyway, this was back in 2015, 2016. So started doing my research, invested a tiny little bit to keep interested, and after 6 months decided to move to Canada, where obviously Ethereum was starting to pick up some steam. The crypto hub was starting to pick up around Toronto, Waterloo, and it really interested me to come here. So that's what kind of led me deep down the rabbit hole of cryptocurrency. So joined PricewaterhouseCoopers just as a tech analyst, just to kind of understand local tech companies, focused purely on cryptocurrency after a few months. And then seeing that this was during 2017, 2018. So I saw the boom and doom of the industry, which was fun to see from that side of things. And then, after that, I left and built my own company in digital ID. Is in the Caribbean, actually, in the Bahamas. So we worked to build a compliant onboarding tool in the Bahamas, and worked with a lot of local organizations down there, which was amazing. And then recently, I've been designing this NFT infrastructure for artists to be onboarded into the space, so making it easy for them. So really been across all veins of the cryptocurrency space for the last 7 years, but just makes me want to be in it even more, to be honest. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, what a journey. I mean, it's taking you across waters. But interestingly enough, so a lot of people who come into the space, they get really excited from the token/investment side. They see the value proposition there, and usually the instinct is to create a project that is focused around creating your own token and having success around that. And then on the NFT side, most people look to create, a PFP type project and that kind of thing. What inspired you guys to take on as big of a project as a marketplace? Because that's no small feat. Why did you guys go for the big one time?
I mean, so we came out at the same time as there's millions of marketplaces coming out at the same time. So to the outside eye, we kind of look the same. We don't consider ourselves a marketplace. We consider ourselves a gallery for artists to project their work. So right now we're in kind of beta stage, which looks very much like a marketplace where you can have your works up and you can sell them. But this will transition into the metaverse in the future, and how that the user journey through the kind of gallery into the metaverse to give the artists their space, design their gallery. So it's a monumental task for sure. We do have a token model that will come out at some point in the future as well to kind of connect all of this. But the way in which that's designed is purely to build the ecosystem and not for outside speculation.
Right, because and by that you mean it's going to be a closed ecosystem token.
Yeah, so we'll not trade on external exchanges. The only two people that token will benefit is artists and interested explorers, we call them. So people interested in learning more about art. So that's all it's about. We have a system that we've designed where, with more people coming in to learn about art, with more artists trying to get into the space, it builds similar to a DAO, but not calling it a DAO. It builds the treasure, it builds the ecosystem, it builds value back to the artists and the individuals looking to learn more, purchase art, and build their own gallery as well.
Okay, so you've been kind of speaking about art, artists, galleries, that kind of thing, and traditionally, I mean, I don't even know if you could call it traditionally. It's been like 2 years, but traditionally in the NFT digital space, that focus is primarily on the digital artist, the digital creative, or people creating physical, digital collaboration. So what about NOWwhere makes it different from some of the traditional marketplaces?
Sure. So first off, we're looking at multiple technologies, not just blockchain, to assist artists to get into the Web3 space. Ideally, Web3 consists of, VR, AR, blockchain, and many other different technologies within one. So we're working with many technologies to bring pieces of work to life. So it doesn't have to be a non-fungible token. It can be a piece of artwork which has got an RFID chip embedded into it, so that when you're scanning it, it opens up a new immersive experience for you in augmented reality, or it automatically airdrops a token to you of some kind and go around, collect stuff. So we're working with artists to basically show them the opportunities that Web3 can bring to creating your own canvas and to experimenting further. But then we have a side business called Now Studios that works with these artists to fill in the void that they have. So whether you're a digital animator looking for a musician and a world generator, we can make that collaboration for you, and we can make you artists collaborate together and build some special stuff. So we're really bringing traditional artists into the space. It's not about being just digital. Even oil paintings, we're working with some oil painters, helping them transition their work into NFTs and providing utilities around the NFTs, not just collecting them, but then attaching the one-of-one piece, the actual oil painting, and sending it to them as well.
Really, really interesting. Now, you've spoken about the opportunities for I guess visual artists. Are you guys doing anything with musicians? Are you guys doing anything with other forms of creatives? And how is that?
Yeah, for sure. So the way in which we've designed our technology this time is basically a data warehouse smart contract on the upper layer. This is getting a bit technical, sorry, but then at the bottom layer, it's a minting smart contract, which we understand the metadata of the NFTs and we're storing them. What the learn to earn mechanism, there's a reason I'm explaining this, by the way, sorry. The learn to earn mechanism and the reward generation does for us as a business is it creates this curation engine to understand what people like and what should be advertised towards them from the artists. I did forget the question though. Sorry, you're gonna have to repeat that. I've gone off a tangent.
I was talking about the different forms of creatives. So musicians and
yes,
are you guys
correct.
working with other types of creatives other than just visual?
So the reason why I wanted to go down that angle is because by collecting all of the different artworks, we're then going to move into now music, focus on music NFTs, understand if you like this type of art, you're going to probably like to understand like this type of music. And we're speaking to companies in the sports world. We're speaking to all different types of industries that in the future we believe we can build this connection between the data that people are interested in and a rewarding mechanism, a learn to earn mechanism, shall I call it, for people to be rewarded if stuff is being advertised towards them. Art is where we're starting because it's the most ripe for the NFT industry. The people that are building this are artists themselves. It's what they want to solve. But after that, I think we can diversify more into, as you mentioned, music and other areas.
And what would you say is the biggest value proposition for creatives in this new NFT space, this new blockchain backed technology space?
To me, it's really bringing your work to life. I think a good example of this really could be Times Square, where you're starting to see these 3D billboards. Imagine what that would have been like 50 to 100 years ago. It's a very stationary advertisement, whereas now we can be creative. And that's kind of what this, I think, does to artists. It can create 3D experiences. It can allow them to be more expressive and be more creative with a lot more tools, but wrap a digital wrapper around their work so that the ownership rights, the royalty fees and everything, and anything to do with that work can never be touched, and it's secure. So it's really bringing a new level of security and opportunity, I think, to the creative mind. And
now some people may ask, okay, so you guys are setting up this platform that basically drives the building of a closed ecosystem. How can I, as an artist, benefit from having the largest market to sell to? What is the unique benefit to me as a creative going to you rather than going to Raribles or OpenSea, as the case may be?
Sure. I mean, right now, as it stands, as we're in beta, probably nothing, because we've got less viewership and we're not offering any more than them right now, to be honest. Apart from cheap minting, you can come and we mint on purchase, and it's very cheap. So apart from that, and being on an environmentally friendly blockchain, but what we have coming, so we have obviously now studios that's working where we work with any artists to help them. If you're an oil painter, help you bring your oil work to NFTs, the strategy behind that. But coming in the future, we have this game feature for artists, which is what I'm the most excited about. It's basically for up and coming artists. It's not for your Van Goghs. It's not for those that have huge followings. It's for those up and coming that are looking to build their base, looking to build their following. They get rewarded based on certain milestones they hit on the platform. So if you're a talented artist and looking to get your work out there, we help push your work in front of the right audience. We reward you for getting your sales, and that helps you push you even further. So we like to accelerate a creative and an artist's career a lot further and a lot easier than what it typically would be.
And how do you guys compare in terms of creator royalties, and
Yes,
how
it's
that
pretty
is
standard.
managed?
Pretty standard across the board. We worked with artists to see what they want, from primary to secondary. We want to make sure we're artist focused first. So our fee on the primary is 6%. On the secondary, it's 2.5%. But whatever the artist is looking and whatever they deserve, if they've got more utility around their editions and their edition sizes are a lot less, and they want to have a slightly higher royalty fee, then we can build that in. But we like to be flexible on the back end.
Right, and on the back end, the contract is the smart contract is really created by you guys, right?
Yeah.
Because I know some artists, especially one of the criticisms of OpenSea, Rarible, and some of the other platforms is that should anything happen to one of these centralized platforms, the artist basically loses their access to this work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because so will you guys offer the opportunity for artists to have their own contracts and import their own contracts? For example, if they have their own website and they have their minting stuff built into that, is that a possibility on NOWwhere?
To bring them across to our platform?
Yeah.
In the future, yeah. We want to be interoperable across every chain that there is, every application in a safe environment. The reason why we've chosen Flow out of the gate, they managed up until recently, the last few days, last week, they managed every single application, every single smart contract that wanted to be on Flow publicly needed to be audited by a third party. So they had very strict gates on their first companies coming in. We believe the Flow ecosystem offers so much towards the NFT space, how NFT infrastructure can be built. We wanted to be on there. So it took us a lot longer to actually build out our smart contracts and to get them audited by a third party to then be audited again by the Flow team. So yeah, security and being risk averse is a top priority. As I say, working with artists it allows you to understand what artists want to see. They want it to be environmentally friendly. They want to make sure that everything's secure and there's no risk involved. They want smooth onboarding. They don't want to manage too much of private keys, public keys. So that's mainly the reason we're built how we're built. It's very smooth onboarding, very easy to manage assets, manage NFTs. And we think there's a lot of more people that are going to come to Flow very soon.
So from that perspective, tell me what the process is like for registering an account as an explorer, as an artist. Do you have to come with your existing Flow wallet? Does NOWwhere offer their own embedded wallet? Can you purchase art using credit cards or fiat? Is that planned for down the road?
Yeah, so we're actually at the minute we're using the Blockto wallet on the Flow ecosystem. We've also engaged and we have MoonPay fully integrated. So you can use cryptocurrency, you can use credit card, debit card. It's very easy to purchase any of the NFTs. In the future, when we bring out our Learn to Earn feature, we're going to bring out a wallet at the same time. We want our wallet to work for the artists, to provide data feedback for the artists, same as explorers. There's not too many wallet options on the Flow network right now, so we think that we can build a pretty cool one that's focused on the artist and the explorer themselves. But right now it's Blockto. Blockto is great.
How do you spell that?
Blockto is BLOCTO.
Okay.
Yeah,
and they are a self custody wallet or are they centralized wallet on Flow?
Yeah, it's self custody. So all the way in which the Flow ecosystem is built is each wallet has their own account and your assets are stored. It's like self custody on the Flow ecosystem. So they probably have one of the best onboardings in the space from all chains. It's email setup, it's password function, it's not keys. It's very simple and very effective.
And do they have an app, or is it browser based?
Yep. So they have an app and they have a lot of different products, to be honest. Blockto Bay is their secondary marketplace, which is the largest secondary marketplace on Flow. There's some more coming. OpenSea, I believe Super Rare or Rarible is already on there too. So yeah, a lot of marketplaces come into the Flow ecosystem.
All right. Now, where I am at in the Caribbean, we have a lot of artists in the traditional space. You know, we have a lot of creatives from the traditional space who are now kind of hearing about this NFT space, hearing about this digital asset space, but are wary about what it takes to participate, because what they actually do as their art is hands-on. You know, they're not digital artists. They're wood carvers and oil painters and you know, fashion designers, and not everybody is able to or even interested in transitioning their work in a digital form. Does NOWwhere work for those types of creatives?
Yeah, we work with all types of creatives. As I mentioned, at the minute we're focused on art, but the beautiful thing about this technology is it will be cross-industry. It will be, you know, for your workshop workers that are trying to sell work around the world. What this technology does is it creates the curation model, not just ours in general, but blockchain technology across the planet. It creates connectivity and it creates opportunity to demand, like supply and demand at the end of the day, like peer to peer. That's basically what this is. So as like right now, we're not taking, I'd say, anything that requires a complicated fulfillment process. So we're trying to keep it as simple as possible until we build out that side of the business. But I'd definitely say keep doing your research in this industry, keep understanding about the technology that's coming, because imagine a peer-to-peer curated eBay where you could provide a really quick video of you do this. And this is the other thing that we do as a business. We create a lot of promotional content for our artists. So we really care about their story. We don't have any artists on our platform that don't have an amazing story and are really passionate about their work. So Now Studios, our sister company, works with these artists to create promotional videos. So if you go and check out any of the promotional videos for these artists on the site, it's all about them, where they get their inspiration from, what makes them get up and do their work and stay doing their work as opposed to doing anything else. So we try and tell their story for them in video format, in article format, and as many ways as possible. But I can't remember why I was going down this rabbit hole either now. I do that too many times.
like you're having something to drink that I'm not seeing.
I wish, to be honest. I saw your cognac at the beginning. I was jealous.
We'll get some out to you soon. But
that'd be nice.
So we've talked a little bit about NOWwhere. We've talked about you guys and how you're positioning in the space and stuff like that. But what are your thoughts on the general market conditions right now as someone who is on the other side from the business side? How do you perceive the current market?
So being in the space, and it's sad to say a long time when it's only 7 years, but I've been through a couple of these waves where it's an awesome boom in the industry and something new comes out and it changes everything, and then all of a sudden China bans crypto and everything disappears, or something similar to that. Elon Musk sells 3/4 of his Bitcoin stake. So this is kind of my third time in this wave, and this one I'm the most excited because the last wave was really trying to solve what I really want to build and solve a lot in the space, which is what this token model is built around as well, is financial accessibility. So as I mentioned with my previous stuff, I just want to get access to people that, for businesses or individuals in some funky ways, this time through artists and their followers, a really cool new system. And that's what's coming in. Like the last wave that we just saw was based around DeFi and NFTs at the same time. I think NFTs really picked up and too much money was pumped into them because of the successes that people were having in the DeFi space, and which obviously comes from a lot of leverage and a lot of fake money that was in the space. But one thing it did show us was the creativeness and how many people want this industry to be a thing. Like there's so many new communities that have been built, and this is just the beginning. It's really exciting to think about the Web3 space that will be here in 5 years, 10 years, understanding that it will be a lot simpler to onboard individuals, communities, the reward mechanisms, the gamification, the fun that people can have and also earn a living, and what opportunity that will bring in the next 5 to 10 years. So yeah, right now, to me, this wave back was needed. I think it canceled out a lot of the badness in the space, which was leverage. I think it was definitely needed. I also think that you'll start to see more and more artists, traditional artists, and even designers and creative individuals looking at the NFT space, starting to do their research. If you do your research, you understand that not everything is bad for the environment. In actual fact, there's technologies that are fantastic and very opportunistic. So I think it'll usher in a lot more artists and creative people as well at the same time.
Yeah, and I think what something that you kind of alluded to, the boom part of the cycle brings everyone. These kind of correction type environments allow people who are being a lot more deliberate to come into this space, and with that comes people who are a lot more interested in building the space rather than just extracting immediate value out of the space. But as a project founder, and we know that projects need capital to continue to build, and when the funds aren't flying into the market, how do you see that affecting projects? Do you think we're going to see a certain percentage of projects fall away? What percentage do you think that is? Do you think that's good for the ecosystem as a whole?
Well, the strongest survive, right? It comes down to money at the end of the day, but it also comes down to pure grit of getting your business off the ground. If you've got a problem to solve, and how much you believe in that, then that really stands people aside from the rest. But yeah, it's difficult out there, speaking as a project founder for sure in the space. There are a lot of funds. A lot of these funds require either come in last minute or require you to have at least one or two people delegated at the same time, which is not always the easiest thing to do. Obviously, in a time like this, getting in touch with VCs as well, everyone's doing the same thing. So they're seeing 50 to 100 decks across their table as opposed to 5 or 10. So really standing out from the rest is difficult. But I mean, one thing I'd say is if you can buckle down and survive and just keep going, finding alternative revenue models, just keeping the lights on, then the next push in this space is going to be something magnificent. It always comes back bigger, better, stronger, and those that survived become the blue chips. So it's difficult times, but it's a rewarding one at the end of it.
Yeah, man. Let me just shout out a couple of people in the comments. Say, Richard, what's up? Cutty, Brave, what's up? Game Will NFT Gaming, Games Will. But let me ask a next question, Matt.
Sure.
So we saw DeFi happen 2017. We saw the ICO. We saw NFTs coming off of COVID and really catching a lot of traction in 2021. What do you see as being next strong narrative or the next strong important area that is gonna onboard the next 100 million people into crypto?
So the easy answer to that for me, so I love thinking about how long this stuff's going to take to come in, and that's kind of how I built the last couple of companies. But the easy answer to me is gaming. It's Web3. It's breaking down the barriers to just onboard millions and millions of people into the gaming space. However, the answer I'd love to give, and the answer that is possible, is potentially with new regulations coming in around stablecoins in multiple jurisdictions. This is why we're trying to build what we're trying to build. If the right strategy comes in from traditional companies looking to come into the Web3 space, they can build communities, they can build programs that incentivize their customers, their community, whoever it is, on blockchain-based infrastructure. If there was a package like, let's call it Microsoft Office, that you opened and all of a sudden you had a dashboard of applications and tools to boost across your whole network and community, but it was blockchain-based and token-related, et cetera, I think that would be another angle, but I think this just may be too far away. Like the opportunity is definitely there. Sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
The opportunity is definitely there with regulations coming this way. The question after that is, what does the gray zone look like in each jurisdiction from these governments? So yes, you can play with the stable coins, but what's the size, the efforts that I put into building a blockchain-based community out of my customer base? What can I do? What can't I do? And it's all gray again until new innovative legislation comes in. So there's some cool stuff out there. The other thing I would just mention quickly is from building in the Bahamas, I know that legislation across in the Caribbean is very positive towards digital assets and towards infrastructure as well. So a lot of individuals could be coming into the space without knowing about it, whether it's to do remittances or money transfers, whatever it may be. There's some great applications being built out there for that. And it makes your life a lot easier. So we could see something come from the fintech scene, which brings mass adoption too.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me. And I thought with the new wave of institutional curiosity, that we would see a lot more traditional companies move their current rewards programs into a more blockchain-based infrastructure. So we have all these airlines who already offer a miles strategy. We have people like Starbucks who already have a reward points strategy, and banks with like Visa and MasterCard having cashback options and stuff like that. And I really thought, because we saw a few cards offering cashback in crypto and Bitcoin, and I really thought that would be a wave that would have caught on in this cycle, and maybe we'll see more of that in the next cycle, as people go out into the space and educate these businesses about how to integrate this blockchain technology, because that's the sexy thing that everybody wants to work with. Nobody wants to talk crypto necessarily from the institutional perspective. Nobody wants to talk Bitcoin necessarily, but everybody's excited or at least curious about blockchain. So
I agree. Yeah. I think, unfortunately, those systems, I think, will come in from a different angle. Like, I can almost see it so that Starbucks, Walmart, whoever you want to talk about, they build out their infrastructure, their supply chain on a blockchain-based model, similar to something like Hyperledger that they're already speaking to and working with. And they build out more of the back end of the business through blockchain first, and start to understand the automation and relate that to the front of the house. And then that's when I think they'll start to look at it. But I think for now, the Starbucks system works. Like, it's the best way of earning, like lending money for them. I think, I can't remember what the figures are, but there's something like $2 billion or something that they've just got. Yeah. that people have forgotten about or something like that. So it's a great way to raise money. It's great to keep your people informed. The data you receive behind, that application on their phone as well at the same time is great for them. So I don't know. I think we'll start to see it in a few years, but there's no need necessarily now until they can start tracking those tokens and currencies and etc. That's when they'll probably bounce into it.
Right. What about the metaverse? I mean, that has been a big talking point, especially with Facebook rebranding to Meta. How important of a part do you think that is going to play in the adoption cycle, and what does that look for the idea of decentralization in this space versus centralization?
So a quick question back to you. Have you ever put on a VR headset?
Yes.
And how long did you have it on before you took it off?
It wasn't very long. I think it was in a arcade, so maybe like 10 minutes.
Okay. So I love metaverse, love virtual reality. Obviously, metaverse isn't 100% virtual reality, but I think to capture the best experience, such as Meta and Oculus Rift, it needs to be kind of virtual reality. To me, it's great. It's amazing. It's awesome for artists to have their gallery that they can design and create, but it's built for short periods of time. It's not built. It's not good for us, I don't think, to be sat there for 12 hours a day in virtual reality. So we believe in the opportunity that the technology brings for artists, as I mentioned, but I think our strategy moving forward is not 100% towards the metaverse. It's more of just a showcase. We want our work, we want our application, our technology to be mobile, people on the go, be interactive with things. Augmented reality, I think, could be a lot larger than virtual reality. But yeah, the metaverse it's interesting. It's great. It's nice to see new technology like this come in. It brings in, new revenue models for individuals, new ways of earning income. Especially to those in marginalized communities even. So it's new jobs, and I think it's great.
And how do you see that whole metaverse land structure working out? Not so much from a 3D virtual reality perspective, but like a decentralized land that offers a platform where people can get together in communities and exist and build communities in a 3D perspective as compared to 2D, which we've grown accustomed to with social media like Instagram and Twitter and even Facebook.
Yep. So I mean, if you imagine that you're an artist and you can literally brick and mortar build your own gallery, invite your own people, and design how you want everything to be. We want to create that feeling into the metaverse space. So we don't want to be centralized. We want to aim to be completely decentralized in the future. Artists can come in and in our metaverse galleries, we're going to have like an artist department store, let's call it. So different artists on the platform could build out a draw set or a picture frame to put something in, so you can get rare items that artists have created at the same time. We want it to be an artist's community, as if they're doing an exhibition every single night, and they can promote themselves and push people towards it. So that's what we're aiming for in the future. That's quite a way in the future, but first step is done, which is the ability to upload your work and sell it to anyone in the world. We've completed. So now it's build mode and next steps.
I feel like this is the perfect time to jump into the Crypto Caribbean TV tips. So let's do that. So Matt, Crypto Caribbean TV tips. What advice, or what one or two pieces of advice would you give to an artist who is curious about this new digital space, this NFT space, especially during this bear market period? what would you say to that person if one of your friends came and asked you?
Sure. So the first piece of advice I'd give is do some research. Look into lots of different protocols. Ethereum isn't a be all and end all. There's lots of amazing pieces of technology out there that it's not all about the technology. It's about the community, about the art companies already there, the art individuals that are curious about art as well that are already there. There's some great protocols to look into, such as Flow is one, that's who we're with. Tezos is doing great things in the space, in the art space. I would definitely recommend looking that out. There are areas on Ethereum. Phantom is another one. So there's a lot of these protocols, and dependent on what concerns you the most. Is it cheap transactions, cheap minting, environmentally friendly, speed of payments, all of this stuff? You can go through, do your research, and understand where you want to release and mint your work. So that would be one thing. The other thing I would say is there's a lot of really exciting technology coming, like based on curation. So finding your audience, us being one of them, but we're just one of many that's finding your audience for you. And so you don't have to spend endless hours on Instagram with a broken algorithm, or on Twitter Spaces, or you're not fighting to get an audience that you don't want, and then trying to entertain them necessarily. There's new models being built that will find and call out and work and help communicate with these audiences. So keep doing your thing. Don't give up being creative. Don't lose that. Keep being passionate. And just know that this technology is coming. Just keep doing your research.
Thank you very much, sir. So, Matt, at this point, I'm going to give you the opportunity to drive the conversation in any direction that you feel is interesting to speak on. It doesn't have to be NFTs. It doesn't have to do with marketplaces, but anything around the space that you think might be an interesting discussion point.
Sure. Okay. I'd love to take it back to your home turf. I've spent many years in the Caribbean myself. Absolutely loved it. I'd love to get some updates on what's going on in the space over there and what you're most excited about around this technology and the opportunity it brings to people and communities around yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Caribbean is definitely building a tremendous community on the investor side, on the consumer and retail side, on the artist side, definitely, and then we have a lot of people building amazing tech coming out of the Caribbean. Like you said, there are a few territories in the Caribbean that are very, very pro growth of the ecosystem, Barbados being one, Bahamas being another. Most of the countries in the Caribbean are looking into adopting the technologies around crypto in some way, most of them through maybe piloting a CBDC. So I think there's a lot of excitement and anticipation around the growth in the space. There's still a lot of work to be done in terms of educating the masses. There's a lot of work to be done in terms of opportunities for on-ramps. I think that's one of the biggest challenges for us in terms of just being able to on-ramp using because we have issues with access to foreign exchange. We're not living in territories that have unlimited access to US dollars or Euro dollars, as the case may be. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges. So I think whoever is successful, and I know there are quite a few projects working on that, but I think whoever is successful in building out those on-ramping opportunities and off-ramping opportunities is really gonna catapult the growth of the space in the region.
Okay, awesome. Here's a question for you. So this is a bit of my background, looking into the digital identity space.
Yeah.
So digital identity, obviously, some sort of ID needs to be present before mass adoption happens across across chain, across multiple platforms. It needs to be focused on yourself. how do you feel, and how do you think the general public feels about adopting some sort of digital identity standard, whether it's private focused or public focused?
I mean, me personally, I think it's super important. I think it's absolutely necessary, and we've been having, so Crypto Caribbean, we are a consultancy company outside of what we do on the retail side, and we've been having conversations with different governments and government bodies about using the verification application and utility around blockchain for things like digital identity and stuff like that. I think like we're seeing across the world right now, I think there is a lot of mistrust of governments. So I think that is probably going to be the biggest hurdle in terms of the general public getting on board. You know, people are very wary of what the government is going to do with this access to this digital information, this digital identity information, especially if that is then going to be tied to, you know, CBDCs, and, you know, people have concerns about that, how that might be applied in a communist environment. You know, if it goes that direction, like, you know, people have concerns about China in that way. So I think it's, you know, like I said, going back to its education in terms of pushing those types of things forward. And that's a big part of what we are doing and working in the back end to have done.
Nice. Yep, education's the only way forward. I think there's a lot of opportunity to in the space around ed tech, gamified education, you know, providing education to those that want to learn about things they want to learn about, and making them masters of that, as opposed to a jack of all trades, as they say.
And I mean, not to cut you, but going back to the digital identity situation, you know, the Caribbean as a whole is about 40 million people, but we as individual countries have relatively small populations. So from my perspective, that should be a relatively easy transition. We've seen India create digital identities for their 1.3 billion population. So it shouldn't be hard for Trinidad with our 1.3 million population to get something like that done. You know, again, it comes back to the political will of the governments, and understanding and educating them to not be afraid to make those types of transitions.
For sure. No, that's it. And it takes time, unfortunately, but it's exciting to see what's going to come in the near future.
Yeah. Someone in the comments is asking about what are your thoughts on Engine gaming projects? I don't know if you're familiar with Engine and their gaming projects.
I know of Engine. I don't know their specific projects, to be completely honest. I know that the team behind them are fantastic. So whatever they're building, it must be great. So I hope that helps.
Nice,
there's not many teams, obviously, in the space that have got some good knowledge and background behind them. I believe they're the team that invented or came up with one of the token standards, one of the NFT token standards. So if that is the team I'm thinking of, if not, I apologize. But if that's the team I'm thinking of, then yeah, they're good guys.
Yeah. So you guys, well, maybe not NOWwhere, but you still operate your parallel company of digital identity and stuff like that. Is that still ongoing?
No, not part of that anymore. I left that in late 2019 or 2020, sorry.
To go full crypto.
Well, no, there was crypto. It was a blockchain-based infrastructure. So it was similar to the Estonian X-Road approach. So it was a blockchain base for governments and banks to adopt onto. So private and public institutions could build an onboarding mechanism for their their stakeholders. So whether it was banks, customers, or different government departments, that was kind of the build behind it. But this is... I left that and came into... I met up with Drew. So Drew, our other co-founder, who comes from the media space. He's been an animator since he's been in his teens all the way through to directed films and commercials for the largest companies on the planet. So he comes from the entertainment and media space. So we were good friends. We sat down and we started talking, and he wanted to get into the NFT space. So we just started talking about what we could do. He's the artist. He's the art. He loves art. Like, he's so passionate about art, and it's lovely to see. And he just wanted to care for the artists and build something that he and his company can help produce promotional materials, tell their stories that he has been doing for companies. And so, yeah, we partnered up, and this is where we are with NOWwhere. Okay,
so now I understand where the passion for the artist comes from, and I think
love
that
art. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I'm more of from the crypto side.
Right, and I love the fact that you guys have such a huge focus on telling the story of the artist, because I think a lot of these platforms, unfortunately, all you see is the art, and then you're forced to make a decision or find your own connection with the art and the artist based on your very blind interpretation of what that artist is about, what the art is about, and I think being able to understand the perspectives of the artist and what drives their art helps for that connection between the artist and the collector in such a more profound way.
Like 100%. We've got some new artists that we're releasing soon. One is an elderly woman that wants to remain anonymous, which is a really cool factor about it. But she's a Swedish elderly woman that by the name of Cat Dogville, and her work is absolutely incredible. Her story is even better. So we've told her story in a short clip of just a couple of minutes long. It's like a mini film, basically, the way in which Drew and the team put it together. It's fantastic. So just watching and listening to the 2-minute clip, it tells you her life story and why she's passionate about art, shows you the work. And if you saw her work, you would say, wow, it's great. When you know the artist behind her work and her story and everything about her, all of a sudden it creates a new look of this work. So and that's the same for all of our artists. It's nice to know their stories.
Nice, man. So as we count down towards the end, is there anything else you want to share with us? Anybody you want to shout out? Any alpha you want to drop?
And I think the best alpha I can drop is just start investing. If it goes down, it's coming up. Like this, do your research and find just the ones, the protocols and the companies that make sense. Anyway, I shouldn't be dropping alpha, but this market's coming back, so don't worry about that. Shout outs, I guess. Just shout out to the team. They're awesome. With the work that everyone's put in over the past 18 months, 2 years is not gonna notice. Like, really, really appreciate it. Apart from that, looking forward to keep going and ushering more artists into the space. So any artist out there, gives a shout. Would love to tell your story.
Thank you very much, Matt, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule. For I know you're up in a cabin somewhere, so it looks like you're trying to get some relaxing in. So thank you for taking some time to share with me and my community. Really appreciate you, man.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you very much for having on, and hello to your community.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, buddy. Guys, thank you very much for joining me on another Thursday evening to speak a little bit about what we see happening in the NFT space in this crazy crypto world. But like Matt said, this market is coming back. Like I always say, adoption is inevitable, guys. Alluminati out. Bless.